So Ben Shapiro appeared on Gavin Newsom's podcast for an interview. Now, some say this was a dumpster fire. Some say that it wasn't. What's my viewpoint on it? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Ben Shapiro appearing on Gavin Newsom's podcast. Now, this was really interesting. It was quite a long podcast too. I believe almost 2 hours. Of course, I will not cover the entire thing in this video. I'll just address certain key points. One of the key points was this whole idea of, can a girl become a boy and can a boy become a girl? This, in my humble opinion, should be a common sense thing. It shouldn't be something that is mainstream at all. No, you cannot become a boy or a girl if you were born as whatever you are. You're not going to be able to be something different. You may be able to think whatever you want, feel whatever you want, but when it comes down to reality, to practice, to sports and bathrooms, locker rooms, you cannot become something that you were not born as. It's pretty simple. But Gavin Newsom was struggling, say the least, to really answer that question and a few more things. And before I go any further, let's get straight to the clips. Of course, I will link to everything in the box, meaning these clips and the entire almost 2 hour podcast. If you want to see it and hear it without my commentary, if you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Fundamental question that lies at the root of all of this is the question that you're not wanting to answer, which is whether boys can become girls.
Yeah, I think I'm for the grace of God. Yeah.
What in the world was that? What kind of answer was that? That was a bunch of gobbledygook. You didn't address anything, but I digress.
I appreciate the sympathy. I also feel terrible for listen, anybody who's suffering with any sort of
I think it's been the case for
terrible,
generations, for time immemoriam. God bless. I don't know how.
Why is this a hard one? I just don't understand.
Because I don't know why it's such a. Why is it such a? I'm curious. I understand the political potency of it.
It's not just politically potent,
but it's just how it's so few. We're talking about so few people.
It's not about that
that are struggling with gender identity issues.
So they're struggling with gender identity issues. So Gavin, would you say that it's a mental problem? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. Welcome to our side of the argument, but let me keep on.
A lot of remarkable people, a lot of wildly successful people, and they've gone on their life, have incredible lives. I don't know. There's so much hate and bigotry, so much condemnation,
this is the part where I start to object.
Yeah.
Okay, the idea that
you may not be spewing it.
No.
Like some others. Trust me.
But
this is the business they're in.
There are lots of terrible people who say lots of terrible things, but
yes.
It is not an act of bigotry to say that a boy cannot become a girl, nor should my children be taught in K through 12 public schools that a boy can become a girl.
Yeah.
That is not an act of bigotry. That's an act of rationality and biological simplicity.
I respect your point of view. And,
but does the state?
Good people disagree on this.
I know, but
and a lot of states, not just California, well-established rules, by the way, that predate me. Again, this is not where I started. We're campaigning and advocating on these issues, as some suggest. Look, I'm with the Governor Spencer Cox, who said about many of these issues, never so much attention been placed on so few people.
And the problem is, I do think that on an electoral level, to go to the politics, it is a barrier to entry for a lot of people. When
I agree with that.
When you say a boy can become a girl. And then just on a realistic...
And by the way, I respect if that's your barrier to then listening to people on a myriad of other issues, so be it. It is what it is.
I find it strange that even if you wish to have a public policy that pursues something different, we cannot just admit that boys and girls are two different things and that a boy cannot become a girl. Why is this so difficult?
Yeah, I understand your point of view.
And
I also respect Caitlyn Jenner. I do.
It's not about respect for individuals.
Well, no.
Talk about a bunch of non-answers, Gavin. Well, I respect your point of view. My point of view, if I say, hey, you know what? Water is wet. I respect that point of view. I respect your opinion. Opinion, it's a fact. It is a fact. I can take this water and drink it. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. I can drink water. It's a real thing. It's a real thing to say that boys cannot become girls. It's not a matter of opinion, Gavin, but you got to just protect certain people because they protect you, because they are bankrolling what's going on. The LGBTQ, elemental P, X, Y, and Z, to be specific. Now, let's keep on going here. This is a good example of how you deal with somebody who's dealing with what Gavin said apparently is a mental issue of their gender identity. Okay, you're struggling with that. Here's a great way to deal with it in an empathetic fashion. Check it out.
Harder thing for me too. As you may know, and you probably do, I have a trans godson, and there's a little more. I find the humanity. I find different aspects of this, different layers.
This goes back to my sort of truth.
But I know you're facts over empathy.
Well, I mean, I'll
get
give
it.
you,
I hate people like that where they rephrase what you say to make it fit their feelings. I hate people like that. That's really that's a tactic of manipulation. I don't like it because Ben's phrase is facts over feelings, not facts over empathy. He said something different, but let me keep on going here.
Here's a story. So I was speaking at University of British Columbia. This must have been now 5 years ago or so.
Yep.
And a person who identified as trans got up at the microphone. And obviously I do a lot of these things on campus. I used to do more of them. And this issue came up. The person started talking about his family's biological male. Again, you can use whatever pronouns you choose to use. It's a free country. But you can't force me to use pronouns that I believe are grammatically incorrect.
Anyway, by the way, I'm not sitting here, trying to browbeat you on pronouns.
I'm just putting that out there. So anyway, so this person gets up and starts talking about his family and how they treat him. And I said, I'd really appreciate if we're going to have a conversation on sort of a general and philosophical level about this issue, if you didn't invoke your family, because I don't want to be in a position of having to talk to you about what your family thinks or believes. And the person continued to invoke their family, said, well, my family keeps saying that I am a woman, that I'm a woman. And finally, after about 7-8 minutes of this, I said, listen, you've now forced me into the corner where I have to give my opinion. My opinion is that your family is treating you with sympathy, but they don't actually believe that you're a woman because they care about you and they love you, but they will fib to you because they believe that it is better for you or that you will not hurt yourself if you say this thing that is not true. The person got very upset, rushed out of the room. Now, normally that's the kind of thing that ends up online as a, destroys video kind of thing. I went to the people who were in charge of the event. I had them cut it from the tape because I was worried about the person's mental health status.
I appreciate that.
I called up a person who I knew the person because they'd mentioned it to me. And I actually had breakfast with the person the next morning to make sure that he was okay.
Good for you.
So my only point here is not what a wonderful person I am. It's that sympathy does not preclude truth telling. And when you're making public policy, it is very important that sympathy not preclude truth telling.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, it's not just the trans issue. If the idea is that I have to protect my friends and I have to attack my enemies in politics, things get really squirrely really quickly because, again, public policy is for everyone. It is not just for subgroups.
Yeah.
So what he did right there was very empathetic, which kills the whole thing that Gavin was trying to do, which is be funny and rephrase his catchphrase, talking about, you're the facts over empathy guy. Nah, it's not about that. It's about, look, facts are facts regardless of what. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you feel. That does not mean I have no empathy. That does not mean I cannot be sympathetic toward people. That does not mean I cannot care about people and what they're actually going through. And the issue with the Transformers is that this is clearly an issue where they're battling something mentally. And the appropriate response is not to play into their delusion. It is to get them help. That is what we should be doing. Now, let's keep on going. One thing I wanted to say is, Gavin, you want to explain this, bro? Like, I've been having this feeling for a long time. You want to explain this? Now, for the young people out there, if you don't know who this is, show this to your mom, your dad, your grandparents, and ask them who this is, and ask them if this looks like Gavin Newsom. Anyway, let's keep on going. Now, this is about the whole Renee Nicole Good situation. The Minneapolis woman who hit an ICE agent with her car and got deleted as a result.
And then your press office tweeted out that it was state-sponsored terrorism, which, I mean, Governor, I do have to ask you about that. Yeah. That sort of thing makes our politics worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, our ICE officers obviously are not terrorists.
Yeah.
A tragic situation is not state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, and then...
Okay, again, another non-answer, like, yeah, totally, yeah. All right, so...
But...
This is where he's talking about Trump, because Orange Man bad. Orange Man bad, that's pretty much his thing, although I'm seeing a bit of an orange glow to you, Gavin. I'm seeing the orange glow. You're pretty much matching your ambiance, your accoutrements, but I digress.
Should I give attention to Donald Trump when I sat there in the Oval Office for 90 minutes and he tells me to turn around and there's a picture on the wall or painting on the wall of FDR. And I look at him and I smile and he goes, I said, oh, here's the third term. He goes, what about 4 terms? Should I take him seriously?
Okay, so
should I take him literally?
I will say,
I don't know. I'm just a question.
I know, and my general
That's
answer.
the president.
And my general answer to this is, if we've watched Donald Trump for 10 years, and we're still doing the thing where we all take him explicitly literally, I think that so
Maduro
did. So people
or has.
Okay, it turns out Maduro should have. But you know, one of the things that I remember I would get this critique about President Trump a lot is President Trump, who, as I've said multiple times, on his epitaph, it will read 45th and 47th president of the United States. He said a lot of you know, like the thing that I'm not going to pretend.
I take my presidents a little more seriously than most.
I don't think you do. And this is the thing where I really doubt it. I see a lot of people who Trump will fire off a random tweet and everybody kind of laughs because it's President Trump. If I'm going to pretend that is coming from the same thought process as whatever comes from Joe Biden's press office, which went through 7 layers and maybe not the president.
Very different.
Then I'm not gonna pretend that's the same thing because I'm not an idiot. You know.
And that's look. And by the way, I could not agree even more. And that's, I think, reflected in the humor I'm trying to put back in on my social media.
And actually, I think it's kind of a problem for you because I think that, frankly, the stuff that you're doing is more thought out than the stuff that President Trump does. Meaning, I think that President Trump is waking up at 3 a.m. if he went to sleep at all, and he's firing off stuff on Truth Social, right? And so, am I supposed to take that as seriously as you, in a methodical fashion, saying, you know what, I'm going to prank him back? And I think that people who are your supporters do take you in that way more literally than they would be apt to take President Trump.
I think
exactly. Now, think about Trump. A lot of what he does, as I close, is trolling. And you could tell what's trolling and what's not trolling. With Maduro, obviously, that's not trolling. We're talking about real things, real policy. We're talking about some other things and, you know, some of the nicknames. It ain't really that serious. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Ben Shapiro. This was a good showing from him. And again, if you want to see the full podcast, it's like almost a couple hours. I will link to it in the description. Good showing from him. Gavin Newsom, he's weird. Don't like him. All this extra body language, I don't like it. But I think he is going to be the 2028 Democratic Party nominee. And if it's not him, who's it going to be? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about this podcast? Have you seen the whole thing? Have you just watched clips? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Gavin Newsom, I don't like him. All the weird body language, he's weird. But I think he will be the 2028 nominee. And if it's not him, then who is it going to be? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.